I would now like to welcome the Honourable Clyde Caruana, who's going to be bringing you the policy address from the EU Commission for Financial Services. I'm sorry, do I have this wrong? No, I have this right. No, yes, sorry. Forgive me, I got a little bit confused there. Many thanks to my esteemed panel, and I would now like to invite the Honourable Clyde Caruana, Finance Minister of Malta, to come and offer your policy address. Thank you very much indeed.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. First of all, I would like to commend FinanceMalta for the organization of this conference and for giving me the opportunity to share some thoughts with you. Another year passed, and the international landscape is what it is. Whether things on the international level are improving or not, that I leave up to you to decide. What I can say, however, is that earlier this week, we had the publication of the European Commission Autumn Forecast, and the numbers there are not so encouraging. They are what they are. Long story short, the report envisages that the average euro area deficit as a percentage of GDP will deteriorate from 3.2% this year to 3.3% next year, and will deteriorate even further to 3.4% the year after. That is 2027. How do we compare to all this? This year we're going to be at par with the average at 3.2. Next year we will be below the famous 3% threshold. We will be at 2.8%. And the year after we will be at 2.4%, a full percentage point less than the euro average by 2027. Debt as a ratio of GDP in the euro area is expected to be at 91%, up from 88%. For all the criticism that we receive and that it's thrown at government about our debt level, may I remind you that our debt to GDP ratio is at 47%, half of what it is at the euro area level. Growth. When it comes to growth, the euro area will experience feebler growth, even worse relative to what the euro area is going to register this year. 1.9 next year versus the 2.1% this year. Add to all this the problems of France in drawing up a budget, the UK trying to plug a hole that keeps on absorbing more taxation, and the German economy that is showing no beating signs at all. In the midst of all this, our economy continues to steer ahead at an annual 4% year in, year out. Ladies and gentlemen, we may have different opinions, different views. We may support different political parties. But certainly, as Maltese citizens, we should all be proud that contrary to the crowd out there, we're riding the waves. Whereas others are increasing taxation, we are increasing families' disposable income year after year with a tax cut one after the other. Where others are containing their welfare expenditure, we're taking care of our parents and the parents of our parents. Where others are cutting down on expenditure, we're not holding back to sustain more our economy. I'm not here to make a political pitch. Far from it. As an economist, the numbers I've just mentioned give me the peace of mind that, unlike the rest, we do have the comfort of stability. Stability is the key factor over here. If there's something that everyone across the four corners of the globe is after, that is stability. The peace of mind that tomorrow is not going to present any unpleasant surprise. That tomorrow is going to be better than today. If not the be and all, this is one of the most important things that potential investors are looking forward. No wonder that in the recent EY survey, there was a significant surge in confidence amongst foreigners who would like to invest more in our economy. It is why the local economic sentiment is so positive. A sentiment that I'm quite sure that many of you are experiencing as well in the financial sector. All of this is good, but it doesn't mean that we should take anything for granted. To the contrary, now it's the time when we should double our efforts to improve on what we have achieved. Here I'd like to refer to the financial sector itself. You all know that the sector is thriving. The setup of foreign new companies is increasing year after year. From crypto to AMIs, the number of new applications submitted with MFSA is on the rise. All this is more than welcome. However, collectively we have to do more to attract licensed businesses activities, as this accounts for now for only circa 20% of the annual new setups. Having regulated firms helps us to protect the public interest. It is ultimately the rationale for safeguarding systemic stability, protecting investors, and ensuring fair, efficient, and transparent markets. Effective financial regulation is crucial for achieving these high-level objectives. Regulated companies improve the long-term sustainability of our sector as our jurisdiction perception improves on a global standing. Our main selling point should move away from mere taxation. To make sure there's no misinterpretation, tax competitiveness still remains an important feature of our jurisdiction. And now that I'm on tax, I would like to say something about it as well. Throughout the past months, I've received all kinds of advice about taxation, from doing away with the imputation system and to change to a classical one, from doing away with the 673 fund to reducing the 35%. Lately, there were also suggestions to have different corporate rates for different sectors. Most of the time, the suggestions put forward seem to be more intended to appease a specific clientele rather than a strategic move which addresses the country's needs. May I remind you that we owe our collective well-being to the country's state of being. All and sundry stand to benefit if Malta is doing well. But likewise, if the decisions taken are not in the best interest of the country, at the end of the day, we all stand to be worse off. Until a year ago, there was an international push towards the establishment of a minimum level of taxation, the 15%, Pillar 2. As you are aware, the EU has already legislated a directive in this regard. Last week, during my monthly ECOFIN meeting, I could barely believe that as many as 10 member states were voicing their concerns about the decision made. Not one, not two. Member states urged for revisions now that it's clear that the US will not be part of such an agreement. The goalposts have changed. What once was a global effort now is no longer the case. Whether the whole effort will be scrapped, that still remains to be seen. But definitely, this moment of fluidity requires caution more than ever. Now, it's not the time to experiment with our taxation system. A simple misstep may not only cost our tax competitiveness, but also millions to the fiscal. Before I conclude, I'd like to make another point, the way forward. I'm not going to lecture you about what's best for the sector. I'm quite sure that you're going to hear a lot about that today. You know better than I do. What I'll tell you, however, is capital, capital, capital. Capital in its broad sense. Since prehistory, those societies that have embraced technology has flourished. The ones that didn't just perished. We're in that moment in history where it is very clear that technology is going to the next level. For us to remain successful, we have to ride this wave through. This country of ours has no problems in job creation. Our focus now should be on capital. We need to be more efficient. We need to be more productive. We need more, as economists prefer to refer to it, labor to capital substitution. We simply need more capital deepening. More capital in its widest sense is equal to more demand for finance. This is the way forward. Over the past 10 years, we've managed to make it from the bottom of the league to the top place in terms of employment ratio. I'm quite sure that if we push the right buttons over the coming 10 years, we can have the necessary capital base to be the best in class even in this area. We did it, we can do it, we have what it takes. Thank you for listening. I wish you a productive day.
We have initially made our decision to set up an office in Malta over 3 years ago after successful launches of our depository businesses in Poland and Luxembourg. Back then we reviewed a number of jurisdictions and Malta crossed a lot of the items on our list. English speaking, with a fantastic talent pool, experienced and skilled in investment services, and of course the regulatory framework up to the highest standards. But that was not the deciding factor that made us move here. When we arrived on the island, it became obvious to us that despite being from different parts of Europe, we share a common business culture with Malta, client-centric and focused on delivering the highest quality of services in a very quick time. In other words, we came for the regulatory framework and stayed because we found a place that shares our philosophy of doing business. Having had experience with multiple jurisdictions, including some of the largest global financial centers, I would call Maltese competitive advantage nimble strength. It means direct access to the EU market with a fantastic regulatory framework, of course, but also, I would say, the flexibility and speed of a boutique hub. That means quicker setup times, that means direct access to decision makers, and a genuine can-do attitude that turns churn challenges into opportunities. And I think that is the most competitive edge that Malta has to offer. This is particularly important in new and innovative fund strategies like the digital asset sector. With some of the financial centers, the traditional ones, a bit slow to adoption, I think this is where Malta can really shine. With their experience and capabilities in the digital asset sector, it can become a financial center to be for these types of strategies. At Q Securities, we are proud to be part of an industry where excellence isn't just an aspiration, it's the standard. And like Malta, we're just getting started.